Oh, I've had many special interests over the years. I think my main one though, that I've always kind of been like fixated on would be video games. I just love video games, just like anything to be honest. And I think it really helps because um I don't know, it's kind of like escaping into a different world. Like I really love stuff like Zelda and that's just like a whole different world to get lost in and explore. And I don't know. Also, it's like quite a good way, like especially with like multiplayer games. Obviously, as an autistic person, it's quite hard to like socialize and just social skills in general. But I think they're like a pretty good leeway into just talking about these games that you love with people and just playing together. And yeah, I kind of owe a lot of my friendships to video games and just like a lot of skills, like even like something as simple as like hand-eye coordination, stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's really like the one thing that is like my main special interest. Otherwise other things are kind of like I really like them for a bit and then I'm just like, no, see you later, you don't exist anymore. Kind of thing.
I've noticed a pattern that every time I start at a new place, either at work or uni, there's a period of shyness because of my autism, but it is fading over time. I avoided going on nights out as I didn't really drink, which I regret now as I missed out on a big part of the uni experience. I realised just because I don't drink a lot of the time doesn't mean I can't go out and enjoy myself. I've learnt now that just because you're scared of something, like me at uni the first time around, going out to a club, pub, or bar, doesn't mean you shouldn't try it, and that your friends will look after you and that you'll enjoy yourself.
I was so proud when I went to university. I knew from a young age I always wanted to go. I didn't do very well in my A-levels, but luckily, due to a one-to-one meeting with my lecturer, I was offered a place on the Broadcasting, Journalism and Media Communications degree. University was a time of firsts. It was the first time living away from home, as it's 200 miles away.
It was the first time I had an opportunity to become independent and I could live my life. I wanted to take this opportunity to develop myself as a person. I remember the very first night. It was hard and I remember crying for a very long time. It was very overwhelming and my autism got the better of me. But as time moved on, it became easier to manage. University was definitely the making of me, so I became more independent. At first it took a lot of courage to go to the shops on my own. I remember ringing my mum up to distract me. It was really hard for me, first of all, to even go to the shops, which is simple to normal people, but because of my autism it took a lot of courage to go out somewhere on my own. But as time gone on, it became easier and easier, and I was really proud on the fact that I just went to the cinema or the shops on my own.
This led me to the proudest moment of my life, my graduation. I was really happy when I found out I got a Tier 1, and then when the actual day came around, from wearing the mortarboard and gown, walking across the stage and receiving my degree, it was a magical moment. I started an apprenticeship in my local council in 2018. I really enjoyed it and learnt so much, and it really helped improve my confidence.
After I graduated from Glyndŵr, I had a rough idea of what I wanted to do as a career. I wanted to work in the TV industry, but it was a catch-22 situation. You need experience to get a job, and a job to get experience. I was really upset I couldn't go into my dream industry. To understand what it's like to manage someone with a disability, I spoke to my former line manager, Martin Thompson, who's a senior project officer in the Programme Management Office at Cheshire East Council, where I started off as an apprentice in 2018.
I don't honestly remember you being conscious of you not contributing to team meetings. In fact, I think you possibly contributed more in meetings than you give yourself credit for. And I think you probably contributed more than a lot of people in those meetings, if I'm honest. Because again, I wouldn't have been aware. I don't think that that was a situation that you found difficult or an activity that you found difficult, as in contributed in those meetings. But I mean, my own sort of take when I'm in meetings is I tend to sort of say things if I think I've got something valuable to say, and if I don't, I'm quite happy not speaking. Now, I appreciate that you may have felt that you needed to say something, that you, if you didn't say something, it would be really obvious. But I genuinely didn't ever really notice that as being an issue, because I do remember that you did used to chip in things in team meetings. Now, that may have been, again, with hindsight, much harder for you to do than I realised at the time. But I think you did push yourself to actually make contributions. So yeah. Well, I think all managers should have at least some level of awareness of Asperger's and autism, and just to be able to have honest conversations with their staff to make sure that their needs are being met and that they're happy with the environment that they're in and the work that they're being given, and just to understand that everybody works differently, whether you have Asperger's or autism or not. Everyone has their own way of working and their own way that they like to be treated, I think. And I think it's just important to recognize that people are all different, and you need to deal with people as you find them, and to try and make sure that you speak to them and have honest conversations with them, so that you can understand what they need you to be doing as a manager, in the same way that they need to understand what the manager wants them to do as a member of staff.
Come out from our lab, and this is research that I wasn't involved in, that autistic people sadly report a lot more vulnerabilities during childhood and adulthood compared to non-autistic folks. And we think a lot of this is due to misunderstanding. So no sort of accommodations made for autistic folks, no sort of support provided, support at multiple levels, support in the terms of legal level, support in the terms of medical level, support in the terms of social and educational level, even sort of financial support, that's quite often needed. This is a huge challenge, and really to one and an important way to support autistic folks is to try and address this sort of level of vulnerabilities.
It's normal, not everybody's going to like you, want to be your friend. Especially hard at secondary school, as by nature, teenagers aren't the nicest of people. But when I went to college, the friendship didn't change and people became more mature and started slowly to accept me for who I was. I think the first time I went to uni was when people properly started to accept me. Although initially I was introverted, over time my confidence grew and I started to talk to more people, make more friends. During the coronavirus pandemic, I've had a shift in friendships. It's been hard to get to know people at uni because we can't go out and socialise, and it's difficult to get to know someone digitally.
If you've got a friend with autism, I would say that you just treat them as a normal friend. There's nothing different with them. They might have, little quirks about them, what they need to do, or like a plan like you do, like a routine and stuff like that, but just be yourself and treat them as you would with anyone else. I'd say someone with autism, they're very they're always there for you, they stick to the plans, caring, the loving, and I think in a way you feel more welcomed by them, because obviously I've opened up to you a lot and stuff like that, and it's taken me a while to do that to my other friends, just certainly because I feel like you're not a judgmental person whatsoever. Not that my friends are, but you just give this trust around you, so yeah, I'd say that.
We're nearly to the end of this journey of going beyond my disability and exploring my life with autism. I'm currently 3 weeks away from finishing my MA degree in TV production. I have work experience lined up in London with one of the top production companies. After my work experience, I'm hoping to find my first paid professional employment within the TV industry as a runner. I have my driving test booked for the first time in September, which I hopefully will pass. If I pass my driving test, it will give me the freedom to go out to places that I want to without having to rely on my mum, as well as seeing the friends I've made in Preston at university. Eventually, my end goal within the TV industry is to become a producer and produce my own ideas for TV shows.
All carry varying level of genetic variants that predispose us to an autism diagnosis. So far, the question has been, the issue of vulnerability has been addressed by looking at autistic folks versus non-autistic folks. But at some level, that sort of distinction can be a bit arbitrary, especially if we know that there are a lot of people who do not have an autism diagnosis out there, but maybe autistic just because of.
As long as we can be that little push that pushes people to actually start the research and actually look into it, then that's all I can really ask for.
Important that as you say, that people, and I can imagine it would be very difficult in some circumstances, but it is very important to encourage people to come forward, to explain what their needs are.
Praise and positivity, without doubt, are crucial elements, whether it's from home or whether it's from school. But willingness to applaud, willingness to say thank you when you've learned something from people.
I think you're brilliant, what you've done, what you've achieved, you know, compared to this solitary little lad all on his own that wouldn't play with anyone. You know, you've gone out in the big wide world, you've got a degree, and you know, hopefully get your masters. And yeah, you'll be flying. I'm really proud of you.
During production of the show, we learnt of the history of Asperger's syndrome and why the name was changed to autism spectrum disorder. Dr. Hans Asperger, who the condition was named after, committed atrocities in World War II against children with disabilities. There are references by myself and contributors throughout the show to Asperger's syndrome, as we were unaware until one of our contributors, Amy, alerted us to the history.